Hello everybody, this is Jasmina, and in this video I'm going to talk about monthly activities. This includes mitigations and cures and also activations. And I thought I would do this because I am giving monthly updates for various things, and I think it can get a little confusing. And so I wanted to be clear about each one as a separate issue. And you need to look at it as a separate issue to use it properly. Now, there are 3 actions that can be done on a monthly basis. And this is designed to make the most of the Feng Shui energies you have in your house. There are 3 types of cures or mitigations and 1 type of activation. There are Sha Chi Mitigations. There are annual affliction mitigations and 1 cure. There's 2 mitigations, 1 cure. And then there are also annual and monthly star cures and activations. And actually the cures are only there under certain circumstances. Now when it comes to Sha Chi mitigation, we're talking specifically about locations, that is sectors of your house, where you have Sha Chi that you can see through either your window or your doors. Any window or any door. If you can see Sha Chi, then you should worry about it. But you also have to look at what stars you have there. If your natal stars are good, that's great. Then you only have to worry about your annual stars. And you could worry about your monthly stars, but the monthly stars don't seem to make this terribly worse. The annual stars, however, can, because they have a whole year to work. Now, mitigations with Sha Chi can have to be repeated, but they can only be repeated on certain dates. And this is what I give you in a monthly update. What dates you can use. And there is another way to do it, and this one I actually prefer for myself. However, our house right now only has very little Sha Chi, but it is a placement of a certain item or a certain cure based on the location. Now, it can be used on any date, but you have to be really careful with the location. And this will be based on, first off, you have to know the facing direction of your house or your apartment or whatever it is to basically a single degree. And then you have to understand how to use the 64 mountain ring or hexagram ring of the compass, and you have to understand how to use the stars within that 64 hexagram ring. So it's not easy, but if you hire me to do this, I give you this information for your house. But this is too difficult to do in a video because there are 365 degrees or 360 degrees in the compass, and I'm not going to do 360 videos for this because it actually then you have to worry about the period of your house too. I think I could be wrong about that, but there is actually a better way to deal with Sha Chi, and it's a more permanent mitigation. And that basically requires visual blocking of the object that is Sha Chi. This can be done by planting an evergreen tree so that the leaves block the view permanently. You can also, if it's a window, you can also always leave the curtains drawn so you can't see it. Now that's not very practical, but it could be that maybe you only need to open them very occasionally, and when that happens, you use the mitigation. But again, if you've hired me and we just use this location thing it's very easy for you to mitigate it. So it's not the end of the world if you do have Sha Chi. Your house is still quite usable. Now the dates that are used here that I give monthly updates for are based on the element of the month and day stars in that given sector of your house. Now the month stars aren't terribly hard to figure out, but the day stars can be, and especially during leap years, these dates can be a little bit tricky. And this is why I give monthly updates and just don't tell you what to look for. Now, when it comes to the annual afflictions, there's a single cure and there are a couple mitigations. And I talk about doing what you need to do in a separate video, but you only need to mitigate these annual afflictions if you have activated the annual affliction. Ways to activate this come from several sources, and you're only really worrying about a certain sector of your house. Sometimes it's 3 subsectors wide, sometimes it's a single subsector wide. But if you do any hammering of the walls, that is even for hanging a photograph or a painting, that's not good. But there may be times, for example, if you have a leak in a pipe behind that wall, you really have to deal with it. And that means damaging the wall to get to the pipe so the pipe can be replaced. Same thing if you have a problem perhaps with your sewage system and they have to get in there to replace a piece of your pipe, well, they'll be going through your floor. So these would be activations, and they would be really serious activations. Digging exterior, outside your house also can activate this, and again, it's only within that sector that has an annual affliction. Unfortunately, this can include what your neighbors do, as long as you can see it. If you can't see it, don't worry about it. And that is somewhat unfortunate that your neighbors can do it, but if they know Feng Shui, they're probably doing it because it's good for them that particular year. And even if it might not be good for you, but you still have to pick a time that's good for you as an individual. So you may be doing this to your neighbor at some point in time too. So, don't worry about it. Also, this is one that is a little bit tricky, but repeated loud noises or high levels of physical activity can activate this. And in general, we're talking about stuff that is outside the norm. But if this is a location, for example, where you have a home gym, I would say that year you want to either move your home gym, or if that's not possible, that year you get a gym membership outside the house, so you don't have to worry about this. And that is particular to a home gym because this is something that you only use occasionally, and oftentimes it's not consistent throughout the year unless you are a real fitness fanatic. Now, if this is in a bedroom, if it's a kid's bedroom, if they start listening to loud music, then that's a problem. But if they've been listening to loud music, maybe you have them use their headphones. Then that helps quiet down the room, and that helps. Now, if this is your bedroom and you're a couple, your normal level of physical activity that you're doing there can be done. You don't have to worry about it, as long as it isn't an extra amount that goes beyond the normal amount. And so this also means that you don't want to paint your room. You don't want to do a complete rearrangement of your furniture, especially the heavy furniture. You can move a single piece of furniture around, even if it is somewhat heavy. That's okay. But you don't want to rearrange the entire room that particular year if you have an annual affliction, unless you can do it during a Great Sun Formula time. Now, the annual afflictions are the only problem that needs curing or mitigating that uses the Great Sun Formula dates. Now, of course, you can use it to cure or mitigate a previous, during that year, activation, or you can also use these dates to do a renovation, including a big rearrangement of the room, without activating the annual affliction. So these dates are very important. Now, they are based on these dates are based on the facing direction of your property, and each residence has 4 two-week periods in which they can do these cures or mitigations, or they can also start a renovation. And I give more details about what to do in other videos. But this is the thing that I give the monthly updates for. Now, you don't blindly do these dates. You do need to avoid your clash animal signs. And in the monthly updates, I tell you for each animal sign which dates to avoid so that you don't activate your clash animal, which will cause you problems. When it comes to monthly activations, these are good things. And the monthly stars can give you a temporary great energy to certain locations within your residence. However, you cannot ignore your annual and natal stars that are in those locations. And I talk about this in my monthly updates. There are many other videos out there where I see them just say, use this room. They don't care what's in there. Unfortunately, if you have negative natal or annual stars that are not cured, when you activate the good monthly stars, you also tend to activate these bad, untimely stars. And so you may end up actually in worse situation. So this is why I'm very cognizant about this, and I talk about this in the monthly updates. Now, I don't use the monthly updates the way I'm telling you because I'm basically lazy. What I do is I only use the monthly stars in places of the house where I already have timely natal stars. And I also worry about the annual stars too. But when those are good, I'm happy. And since I don't do a lot of activity that is very noisy, I tend to just work on a computer. Then this is quiet activity that doesn't activate, for example, Sha Chi or an annual affliction. So I just use this based on quiet activity, which can be used anywhere. Now, you can only use these sectors safely if any untimely natal or annual stars have been cured, or an annual affliction or Sha Chi has been properly cured or mitigated. Then you can use those sectors on a monthly basis. But like I say, I'm lazy. I only do this in the rooms where I already have good stars. And then I do extra work during that period of time. Now, when it comes to curing activations of untimely stars, and it doesn't matter which one they are, you can do that immediately. If you know you've activated it, just do it immediately, the next day or very soon after. If there are additional annual afflictions or Sha Chi in that area where you've activated an untimely star, you still do it immediately because that helps tamp it down and doesn't make it get any worse. But you also need to follow up with the appropriate time or location for the Sha Chi with additional cures or mitigations so that you've stopped all the negative stuff in your house for that given year. So that's basically it. I'd like to thank you for watching. Please feel free to contact me here if you have any questions or visit my ad-free website. Again, you can subscribe because I will be having annual updates for all three of these things. Not annual, monthly updates. And some of this will also be annual too. Thank you again for watching.